Hello legends and super legends, we're rolling out. Hope you guys can see us because it's kind of early. The light's just coming in.
All right, let's do this.
We're gonna roll. Alright, let's do it.
It's very nice this morning. It's very cool.
Alright.
Unusually cool for June.
Let's go.
I did yard work on Friday.
That's my labor. This was my Friday. Doing this yard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Labor of love.
I save $100 every week that I do the yard.
For, that tractor.
Because they charge between 100 and 120 in our area to do the yard.
These trees, got rid of all the extra stuff that's in the way when you're spinning them over. There's the man in the kit. Clean. Yep.
So the money I save there I can use for other things.
Yeah.
Get on that tractor, put on my headphones,
nice and cool. So it's about
do some yard work.
21 Celsius, and it feels like it's nice. Low humidity. We got our lights going. Almost forgot to turn on my head unit.
Yeah, it's very unusually comfortable
There we go.
for this time of year in our area. This was an unusual week.
My head unit.
We got a front of something on Wednesday, and since Wednesday it's been dry, which is great.
No, I'm talking about the head unit, not my light.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I forgot to turn on the head unit, and the
you hear those
metrics don't
birds?
show up until they come on.
They're singing. All right.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, went into the woodlands. On Research Forest Drive after passing Sterling Ridge, we hooked up with Team RR, went on 1488 back to Mount Magnolia. We played there a little bit, and then we went on 149. We left them because they decided to wait for people who are falling off the pace already. We rode into Dobbins, and then we picked up the filming there to show how long they waited over there. We took the back way to Mount Moriah to Dacus. Then we went into the forest. We stopped here and took a picture of the gorilla route. Why it's called the gorilla route. Those are the gorillas that you saw there. And then we went up Bethel Road, came down 149, and we turned on the filming here on 149 back into Montgomery. It was a nice pace. And after we got into Montgomery, we stopped at the store at Taco Corner. We came back into Keenan on our favorite road, Onye Egypt Road, after going through the Great Lake Estates. It was a very nice day. The temperature was very pleasant, low humidity. So I hope you all will enjoy the clips because we had a really good time riding. We got to test out the Flight Print jersey. We're on Research Forest Drive here, and Team RR is coming up.
They're gonna turn right.
So we thought they were going to turn right. So when I turned right, they said they were going straight. So I did a U-turn.
They're going
there.
straight.
And then Mo told Paul that he hadn't been on camera in a long time. He's not riding with us the whole way. He's just visiting with these guys early, and then he's going to go pick up his group because they leave 30 minutes later.
I've never been in a camera for months.
So he told Paul he hadn't been in the camera on film for months. Those of you who have been with the channel for a while, this is Maurizio Topini, our former Italian professional bicycle racer that rides with us from time to time. He rides with the WCC Cycling Club, the Woodland Cycling Club in the area. We didn't get to ride with Mo on this ride because he's going to pick up his team. He's just visiting, and then. But on Sunday I rode with Mo. He was taking it easy. He's been putting in a lot of kilometers, and we rode together for almost 3 hours. The Sunday after this ride, there's Mo, Maurizio Topini. And those of you who have been around, Mo has ridden with Mario Cipollini, Francesco Casagrande, Michele Bartoli, and others. That caliber. So we roll up here. I see Paul H in the team kit on the right there. So I tap his saddle, recognizing the classic Veloharmony kit. And they're chatting away. So I sped it up because the light was a little long. And then the light changes and you will see Victor starts having trouble clipping in. Right there. Go ahead and ride past. And he just keeps riding until he gets it in. And like that, you just want to get across the road. And then you can fiddle with it once you get across the intersection. But we actually practice clipping in when we train. That's part of the things. You got to work on all those little things. But sometimes you miss it. And it's no big deal. Just kind of rest your foot on it. Use the other foot that's clipped in to apply the power to get you through the intersection.
Good, man.
I've seen you guys in forever.
Yeah, I know.
Avoid trying to fix it while you're in the intersection. Just get across.
Yeah.
That's like my first group ride in like 2 months. Probably more than 2 months.
So Victor said he hadn't been riding. That's what he and Paul are talking about.
Everything okay with you with the family?
So if you guys are watching, watch me next to that guy's name is Maurice, and you know they call him Mo also. That's a nickname for Maurice. If you watch, I will pedal, then I hesitate a little bit. When you're riding next to someone and you guys are having a conversation, please resist the urge to do what we call half wheeling, meaning you keep accelerating and keeping your front wheel ahead of their front wheel. If you're riding with somebody side by side, like you see the two guys here, Paul H and Maurice, keep the bicycles together on the same line as much as possible, because what happens is if you keep half wheeling the person, they keep trying to speed up to stay with you. Eventually, you guys just start going faster and faster and faster. That's not very good cycling etiquette. If you're going to ride side by side with anybody, even if you're not talking, if we're doing a double pace line, keep resisting the urge to keep riding ahead of the person next to you. Keep the bicycles lined up. That's just the proper way to do it. You're not going to be very popular if you keep half wheeling another cyclist, because you make it look like you want to go faster than they're going when you actually should be riding at the pace they're doing, because that's what's going on in the double pace line. So just resist that urge. We call it half wheeling, so don't do that. Don't half wheel. You see how Paul H and Maurice, their wheels are exactly side by side. That's the way you do it.
Hey, this is a big wheel, man.
What's it expect?
Because you will annoy riders if you do that. If you keep inching up, that's not cool.
Yeah, so just been training a little bit more than I used to before.
It was good to see Mo out here this morning. He just came to say hi, and then he's riding to pick up his group at 7:30, and they're gonna go out. They're out on the same roads we were on this ride. But then, like I said, on Sunday I got to ride with him, so we actually got to have a conversation. It was a very good ride, very efficient ride. I was back home by 9:45 a.m. and we'd covered 93 kilometers in about 3 hours 15 minutes. So we were moving. It was steady, you know. He was riding steadily, so
I see familiar faces,
different kind of effort. We started out once again with Team RR on Sunday. I met them on the road on Branch Crossing, and Mo was with them. But we had to end up leaving them because they kept waiting again for people who could not hold the pace.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing that happens on this ride.
I guess as the riding goes, we're gonna find out.
I have said it before and I will say it again. If you're riding in a group, we have 1488 West, if you're riding in a group and someone simply can't hold the pace, the warm-up pace, there's really no point in waiting for them. They're just going to get dropped again. So what you do is you encourage them to ride with people who are at their level. And then you guys have two groups, and then you can meet at prearranged stops. I'm stretching my back here. I've been doing more stretching lately. I'm just loosening up there. It feels really good.
Rena?
I've been searching for a yoga mat. I got one really good one because I got a lot of imposters out there in the mat business. I like a mat that has good traction, but also comfortable, not super thin. That's Mike Weingrind. You're not gonna catch me wearing that jersey he's wearing, the Texas flag, the Lone Star flag, because it's not a symbol of unity in these United States. Those of you who know the history here, the states that seceded from the Union, leading to the Civil War, they all had their flags and different things. And so to perpetuate that says that you're regressing, in my opinion. We need to move forward. So I don't have anything with the Lone Star flag on it or anything of that foolishness. That's Tim Vibrock on the right there, I believe. Yeah. Tim has not been on his usual training. I think he did a shorter route on this day. I'm next to Paul. I think I'm on the right now. We're just kind of shooting the breeze. That's Maurice back there on the left, and that's Paul H on the right. I'm not familiar with the guy behind them. There were some new faces on this ride. Victor behind Paul is there in the blue and white jersey. Victor wasn't saying much on this ride, so I just rode through and stayed up front. We didn't get a chance to conversate or anything. We didn't stay with them too long, so we didn't stop at the store when they stopped. You will see how we continue riding after we play in Magnolia, and then about 36 minutes later, when we're spinning down, they finally catch back up when we're out near Mount Moriah. So that's another reason we don't stop. That's a lot of, at least 10 minutes waiting on the side of the road, not moving. I like to keep moving when I'm out there on the bike. I want to cover some ground, get some kilometers in my legs, and use my time out there to be as close as possible to the elapsed time. If I'm out there for 4 hours, I want to be riding for 359.999 of the 4 hours. Paul Longa getting us different views of the peloton at the rear. On an earlier ride, there was a lady here that was here before, Richard's daughter. Her name is Ashley. So I made it a point to get her name as opposed to referring to her as Richard's daughter. She's in front of Tim Vibrock on the right there. She has a very good position. She's well fitted to her bicycle, and you will see that in motion later, and I will comment about it. She looks very smooth, very stable. Look how closely she's following the guy in front of her. I don't know that guy's name, but he wasn't popular with Paul and I today. He makes a comment at 1:49 talking about, can we edit the film? Like he's some kind of superstar that his sponsors will complain because he's on our film. Of course, we summarily ignored him. You know, you come to a ride, you don't know the participants, you don't even say good morning, and then you want to instruct somebody to do something that they've been doing forever. Like, you don't want to be seen, stay home. Ain't nobody know you. I mean, what's the point of that? You're not exactly Jessica Simpson or you know, Tom Hanks or something. So, you know, some people take themselves too seriously, so of course we ignored it. That's what you have to do. Sometimes you don't even need to speak. That's Doug Shot on the right there. Doug actually cut his beard down. He was sporting a goatee today. He and his brother playing around with facial hair. I'm pulling the back of the shorts. I'm very sensitive to everything. If I get a small pebble in my shoe, I can feel it. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling it down because I think it rolled up or something. I'm just pulling it, straightening it out. That's it. Like everything to stay in place. I'm going to be on the bike for 6 hours. I don't want to be bothered with any little niggling issues. That's Doug. We chatted here a little bit. Told him good morning and we're talking, so we tilt my head. If you notice that most of the time my head is forward. So when you're in the pack, don't get too engrossed in conversation. You still need to be paying attention to what's happening in the bunch. The dynamic dance that Rafa wrote about in the review that I read for this jersey, the flight jersey. You have to be reacting to what's going on. There's something on the road here, so I use the main lane. I look behind, it's clear. I think it's roadkill. It looks like a dead deer or something. It's pretty substantial. Yeah, so the vulture's been going at it. You don't want to roll through things like that. Not only is it a mess, there might be bones or other things that can cause you to have a puncture. So if you can't see clearly, don't roll through anything. And if you must, then you need to stand. Take the weight off. Everybody rides differently. If you watch Mike in front of me, he's got a different cadence. I've got my own rhythm. Doug has his own. This is Richard on the left. There's Ashley. Everybody's got their own cadence. Look at Ashley as we go by here. Smooth. No extra wasted motion. You will see her better on the climb further up. The pace is quickening a little bit. I think Mike's on the right. I think Mark is in front of me, I think. Yeah, Mark is in front of me. And Mark is the one who starts the action when we get to Mount Magnolia. There's Doug. Doug comes up. So these three are going to start quickening the pace. And you will notice that I'm staying very close because we're riding a bit hard. Not, you know, it's a steady pace. But I don't want to waste any unnecessary energy. So I'm always aware of making sure I find a pocket. That's the whole point of being in a group. You see how nicely Doug is following Mike's wheel on the right there. I'm behind Mark. The Mike's on his aero bars. That is the proper location for being on the aero bars in a group. He's at the front, so he's not following any wheels. I think Mark wants to get off. Yeah, he taps. But I end up telling him go left because he wanted to go to the right and Doug's there. No, he need to go left. It's like you peel off like an onion on this double pace line. But it's picking up to the point where I think, yeah, Doug gets behind Mike now. So you see we're going from single to double. And if you're a newer rider, this is your clue that it's getting serious. The double pace line has now disintegrated because we're going fast enough to where not everybody wants to be out in the wind. The warm-up is over. We've been riding for an hour 19. They've been riding for maybe 20 minutes. So they're warmed up. And a lot of people, these guys ride to their ride start. So some people have had more time on the bike. We're riding here, so you need to pay attention. And you can see my heart rate has gone down actually 10 beats per minute since earlier. Even though we're going faster, I'm staying closer. So I'm using less energy to do this speed than I would if I were in front. You're not going to be super comfortable drafting out of the gate if you're new at this. You have to build up to it by riding more often with other riders. Doesn't need to be a large group. So you get comfortable following the wheels. But you have to always be diligent as you follow the wheels. You can never relax in the bunch. So Mike pulls off and Doug asks him if there's something wrong with his bike, because he's looking at like this bike like something was wrong. And that's what Doug is asking, if he's okay or if he's having a mechanical or whatever. But when he pulled off, he kept looking at his bike. I think this is his second bike. I shake my legs there to kind of wake them up, loosen them up, keep them loose. And look, I'm soft pedaling. I'm on Doug so closely that I'm being sucked in. So I soft pedal. The line is tight now. And at this point, when you're in the group, you got to really find the draft. Otherwise, you will waste a lot of energy. And Doug proceeds to really turn it up here. Look at the speeds. We're doing in excess of 27 miles an hour, something like that. 26, 27. I'm thinking, man, okay. So Paulie Longa is aware that we're going hard. He's tightened up. I'm on Doug. I'm saving my energy because I'm going to have to pull when he pulls off. But we're moving here. We're working hard here. And because I'm so tight on him, my effort level is staying relatively low, but my heart rate is still climbing. It's catching up. I'm probably working 2.5 out of 5 for me. If you notice, I am pedaling faster than Doug is. That's just the way I ride. It's those reflectors. I always point out, I hate going over those square reflectors. Now he pulls off. Now watch. I don't surge. I keep the speed. And I just go through. You see how nicely Doug is close to me? That's how you need to do it. You don't need to go way over to the right. And I'm guiding everybody away from debris by the way I position myself. But when I took over, the wind is there and the road's going up. You can look at it. It's a slope, but at these speeds, you feel it. My heart rate is going to go up because what I'm going to do is I'm going to downshift slightly and rev up my gear, which keeps the effort there. Speeds will go down because it's an incline, but the effort is what counts. So you see my heart rate will stay in the same zone. And I'm working. This is where Neville had the flat the last time we came with them. So now once the incline's over, I do that. Paul knows to not sit up there. That's what I did. You know, that circle means let's rotate through. We're going hard now. You don't need to sit up there too long. 15, 20 seconds or so, you pull off. Paul just rolled off the front. And that's Paul H. That's Maurice. And that's Tim Vibrock there. I don't know the name of that gentleman. And that's Richard. All I'm looking for is a gap. And there's a gap on Ashley's wheel. And I slip in behind her. And the guy behind me is the one that made that request about us editing the film. I don't know what he was getting at. We just ignored him. They'll be telling me what to do. You worried about your popularity or your face or whatever? Wear a mask. I don't care. It's okay now to wear a mask. You can come out looking like the Bugle Brothers or whatever, those comic book characters. This is a bike ride. I don't do requests, or we don't do requests. You will hear the comment if you listen closely. You may not, but it's after we play, and when we slow down at the light, and they're trying to wait for everybody. There are a bunch of people that missed the ride because they had issues. Like I think one person showed up without a helmet or whatever. I don't know what was going on, but I just saw some comments on their board. So they knew there were people that didn't start out with them that wanted to be with them. So they ended up standing on the side of the road waiting for them. Paul and I just kept riding. Look at my feet. That's why I put the arrows there. Look at my feet. I'm using the phases of cycling to get going here, and I'm in the proper gear. So that keeps my energy expenditure low. I use the big muscles in the back of my legs to get that bike going. As a result, my heart rate doesn't spike. And you see, I am seated in the saddle. That's what I mean. You have to get a saddle that suits your anatomy. So, cycling is something, if you want to be really, really happy with it and at the top levels, it has to become a way of life. You can't do it part-time. Greg LeMond told me that one time he came to Austin, and I asked him, I said, how do you guys ride all the time and you're not tired day after day? And we have jobs or whatever. He told me, he said, you can't do it part-time. He had come to sign autographs at one of the Austin bike shops in the early 90s, I think 94 or something like that. This was close to the time he retired, 93, 94. And I got to meet my hero, very personable fellow. He had just come from a ride. You could tell he had the cycling tan lines on his arm. So I remember that rule. He said, you can't do it part-time. Even at this level that we're riding, cycling is an integral part of my life. So right here, I see Mike come on the right. I'm dodging debris. I use my hips to do that, so you don't startle riders. And you will see Paul H is pulling off the front on the right, and then Mark K goes on an attack. So I watch to see who's gonna go with him. But Victor looks like he's not making much progress. I'm kind of boxed in here. So you will see after Doug goes, I'll look behind. And I don't want to carry any passengers, so I kick it. And as I go past, I shift up. I love having that thumb shifter on camping, because I can shift while I'm moving. And I'll ride up the mark. I don't sit until I'm on it. Right there, I've already caught it. And I do a replay here so you can see. No passengers. So if you have a teammate that doesn't attack and you want to bridge up, that's how you do it. You don't drag people up there. They got to work to get up there. And on the incline, everybody's got to work. So once I get up there, I sit on him for a few strokes. You can't see us very well. We've got a gap. You will see my speed start to go up. I go ahead and go around Mark and pick up the pace because he's slowing down. We're going downhill right now. This is Ashley here. Look at her form. That's a good fit, guys. No movement, just the legs. And she put a lot of time into that. It doesn't happen overnight. Fit is dynamic. You need annual reviews. You got to tweak things. You got to understand how your fit works. It's a continual thing as you buy new shoes and other things. So yeah, so if you have not invested in that, that's why you get home and everything burns when you get in the shower, chafing and all of that. That's not the norm. We're ahead of the group there. I'm not looking behind, I'm just riding. I'm in front of Mark, he's on my wheel. We get in that corner and I go ahead and lean my bike. See my speed? We hit like 30 miles an hour. That's the guy looking at Paul over there that does the request for us to edit after we get through the light there, which of course we summarily ignore. At At this point, my power's off. I'm just kind of spinning. I want to see if somebody will come around like the last time. See right there, we spread out. I'm in front of Victor, and then in a little bit, I start a little like a semi little surge right there. I just stand up and I surge. So Mark's all over, but the light's right there, so I'm not really going that hard. You can see I'm just at the sweet spot right now. We hit about 40 kilometers. I turned off the power. I'm just messing around, playing. We're turning left, so we take the lane. The car waits, the driver waits, and the light's red. Now, at this point, I don't really want to stop, and this light ends up being very long. So you will see me clip in, and I think Mike Weingrad had the same thought, because he's on the right. He comes up on the right, and then he clips in, and we go and we spin around while they're waiting at the light. I want to keep my legs moving. There's Mike on the right there. He's going to come over to the left as I'm about to clip in to go back, because I want to just spin. I don't want to stand. I don't want to stop. Because you can tighten up stuff. You know, after a hard effort like that, I want to keep my legs going. So that's Mike. He's going to spin. I just turn around. I clip in. And I go and I spin while they're waiting at the light. I edited it a little bit because it was a long wait. So the light changes here. I'm already behind the group. You see me come across the highway. Mark wants them to wait here for somebody named Abby and Bob. They didn't start with them, but he knew that they were out there. That's me coming across the highway back there. So I don't know what they're doing at this point. I did not hear his comment about waiting in the shade here. I don't like to do this.
You want to just roll down slow.
So yeah, so Paul, this is where we get that request.
Everybody here? Let's roll.
That's right there. You probably didn't care. Can you just edit that? That's what he said. Now this is somebody who's in the group all this time, didn't say dog good morning or whatever, wants to give instructions to somebody. Who are you that we should listen to you? Please. You better just move on. So we just ignore them. That's what we're chatting about here. We laugh about it and we just keep rolling. We basically have left them on the corner. They can stand there and wait. We keep the ride. I don't get up at 5 in the morning to get ready for a ride to go wait on the side of the road. I've said that a million times and I will say it all the time. I don't get up. That's not my motivation to go wait for people. The people that didn't make the ride, they need to ride alone. So one person got there and didn't have their helmet or whatever, or you don't have your shoes. That day you're not riding with the group. That's what Paul is talking about. I told him, yeah, one time I was at Mo's ride and some other guy made the same request. Can I edit the ride? Can I stop filming? Basically, that was his request. I looked him in the eye and said, don't worry, I will edit you out. In other words, I said, I'm not stopping filming. And Mo was there. We were in the parking lot. Mo just had a smile, just kind of ignored because he was surprised that the guy made the comment. You will always get those kind of comments from people who are not accomplished, if you know what I mean. It's always the stragglers that want to hold themselves up high on the totem pole. You will not get that from people who have palmares. I hope you know. I hope you're with me on that. So you don't need to pay attention to those people. He said he didn't want me filming his ride that time with Moses. The problem was it wasn't his ride. Don't claim ownership to something that doesn't belong to you. It's akin to theft.
Thank you, Veloharmony.
What Paul's talking about is when I did that pull on the incline after I pulled off, Mark King said, thank you, Veloharmony.
Thank you, Veloharmony.
Because we forced the pace off that climb before I did my hand around for us to.
Hello.
This is 36 minutes later. We've been spinning.
Hello.
And now we're near 105 and Mount Moriah Road. And they finally rolled back up on us. But in about maybe 2 kilometers, they stop again. There's a store up there at 105. We just keep going. And as I go by, I tell Richard, I said, too many stops. Yeah, we're telling them car back and they're still riding over the yellow line. It's a public road. I don't spend a lot of time close to that yellow line. unnecessarily. Let's put it that way. So yeah, so don't let people intimidate you when you go to your rides. And I guess that's why you're on this channel. You're seeking knowledge, because when you have information, you don't pay attention to the wrong people. You're not going to get accomplished riders making those kind of statements. They're concerned about bigger issues like, do I have enough energy in my system, or what zone do I need to be riding in here, or what is my goal for this ride, and staying focused and not worry about foolishness like that. And the ironic thing about it is Mr. Request is not here. This is a group that stood on the highway for 10 minutes or so, and now they finally caught up to us. We don't see Mr. Request. So you're not even riding the real ride and you want to make requests. So you have to pay attention to the right people in life. In anything you do, ignore the rest. Don't listen to the noise in the market. Make your purchase. Right here, they're stopping at this store. There is a place that we stop from time to time. It's a convenience store, but we don't need to stop. We just started. It's a nice, cool morning. I haven't even touched my water bottles at this point because we drink. I drink before I clip in. So I told Richard right there, too many stops. He laughed. He turned right. That's Ashley's dad. And we continue. We're going up Mount Moriah Road, and we're going to take the cutoff, go to 1486, and come back. So we go around the part that's broken off. At this point,
let's just go ahead and get some clips down here.
we're on 149.
Just exited the forest, 149 south. I figure we're gonna mess around and not get any clips.
We've been having so much fun, we forgot to film, and I had to tell Paul, I said, we need to go ahead and load this camera out. We have been pushing the pace. We took a little bit of a break in the forest, but for the most part, we worked hard on this ride. Everything felt faster today. I'll go ahead and adjust my jersey. It's a very, very nice day. It says 25 Celsius, which is about 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And it feels like 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Just nice. We like this road because besides the fact that it has a shoulder, it is not heavily traveled. And there's a plethora of cyclists on this road in either direction, and it's up and down. Going the other way, we're going south. Going the other way towards Richards, you work. Going this way, you work. And this is, those of you who know Jerry Lutner, who rides with us from time to time. He rides with Mo and them. This is Jerry's favorite direction. He believes it's harder going south on 149. There's a cyclist going the other way. We greet each other, as is customary. As Matt said from GCN, we are cyclists. That's what we do. We greet each other. And Matt said he waves whether people wave back or not. Yeah, that's what it's about. Just, courtesy. Because you never know when you might need some assistance. You don't have to lift your hand all the time. You can nod your head, or you can just say good morning. Sometimes when I'm working really hard, I just say good morning, or I nod my head, or I just flick my wrist or something, just to acknowledge the other rider. Now, a lot of times you will do that and people may not respond. They may not see it, or they just may not want to. That's their prerogative. It shouldn't stop you from doing what you want to do. The motorcyclists come out on this road for the very reason we're here. It's quiet. Low volume of traffic, beautifully paved. So we get those guys on their cruisers, we get guys on these ninja looking motorcycles like they're racing, And of course, the officers are out here hiding because those guys sometimes exceed the speed limit, the posted limits. This road is up and down, so we don't come here necessarily because, oh man, we're going to be flying. There are stretches where speeds will go up, but we come here to do the work. These are the roads that will make you stronger. I stand to just keep the rhythm the same. And these are the things you see. Look at the grade. In that short time, it hit 4%. It doesn't take long. and the road looks flat, you cannot ignore that. That's what Paul means when he says, respect the road. Yeah, he said that's what I'm talking about. He loves these. The last ride we filmed when we went to the 15% lady, somebody said, Paul, I was going across that steep climb in the neighborhood. It looked almost like Chris Froome. Paul is a slender, lanky kind of rider, so yeah, I could see the resemblance. I always tell him sometimes he reminds me of an antelope. And those boys are quick. They dart around, you know. Gotta be quick to catch those guys. We're settling in on a rhythm here, primarily, you know, zone 2. So I flick my elbow, Paul rolls to the front. The white line has little bumps in there. They put that in there to kind of give you a bit of a warning if you're straying. So you don't want to ride on them, but going back and forth across them, it's not a problem.
Man, look at that road up there. Look at those hills.
The road goes up there. As I thought, I said, look at that. It looks more impressive in person than on the camera. And you appreciate it from a distance, because once you get to it, you can't really tell. My experience in the flight jersey really confirmed what I suspected. It is so close to the fit of the protein, they might as well just call it a protein jersey flight collection instead of calling it training jersey. But I think it's the styling, like the lettering on the pocket denotes it as the training line or whatever, you know. But they've got the fit down. The fit is the way I like it. We are constantly shifting. In fact, on Sunday when I rode with Mo, he was explaining to me that his shifter for the rear on his Dura Ace, he's got one of those electronic shifting systems. He needs a new shifter because he uses the right so much. You know, we all do. We use the right more than the left. But they sell them in pairs. I don't think they only sell you one. So we're talking about it. I said, well, you know, you could save the housing and so forth for, you know, like a spare or whatever. But once the housing has been on the bike for so long, those things come with everything you need. So that was one of the projects that Mo was working on with his bike. He's going to swap out and put a new shifter to replace what he called the soggy one, I guess. I don't know if that's the word he used, but it gets soft over time when it's not functioning. Something broke on the inside, and they don't give you access to replacing the pieces like Campy does. So he's just getting a new shifter. But I'm mentioning that so that you all know that we don't just ride. We keep up with our machines. There's a lot of stuff that if you can't do yourself, take it to the shop. Support your LBS. You know, without your local bike shop, you can't do everything online. If you need something immediately, online can't help you. So we've got to keep these shops open by going there and supporting them. You know, so Mo goes to the Bike Lane shop. That's one of their sponsors. It's in the Woodlands. So you need them. There are times when you need something right away, like your ride's coming up and something breaks. You know, you can't do that online. So don't neglect those guys. I mean, you know, they got their issues, but they're good to have around. And if you can't do it yourself, make sure you keep up with noises and things that are occurring on your bike. Don't wait to be stranded out there. Anything that's out of whack, we immediately deal with it. You know, we might come home, take a recovery drink, eat something, and then boom, put that bike on the stand to look at it. For those of all who fiddle with it. But if you don't, and you have a shop, what you do is you're having a problem, drop off the bike. as soon as possible. Don't wait till the next time you're ready to ride, then you're living with that problem. You know, deal with it before so the bike's ready to go. Think about it. I've said it before. If your car has a problem, you're not gonna park it with the problem. You're gonna fix it because you want it to be ready when you're ready to go to work, to church, wherever you need the car to take you. The same thing with the bike. Deal with every problem you encounter on the ride as soon as you get home. So the next ride you're done. It's ready to go. So Paul comes and takes the lead. We swap out positions and I follow him here. The reason I mention that is that you need to realize that another reason we don't like to wait on the side of the road is time's pressures, period. And then if we're waiting on the side of the road, we're spending more time out on the ride that we could be using to do other things. There's enough time spent cycling already. You don't want to waste it when you're out there. So people who are not prepared and ready to go, they don't need to be riding with those who are. That will help them plan and be prepared for the next ride. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, somebody shows up, they got a flat. No. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm talking about things that are preventable and avoidable. You cannot encourage people to not plan, because then they'll have no reason to plan. I roll to the front. We stay on the shoulder. I go past Paul on the shoulder. You should be able to do that. There's 3 feet there. There's plenty of room. When you do that, just make sure you watch your bars. Don't get your bars hooked, because that will cause you to fall. So Paul moved near the white line when he saw me coming, and I moved closer to the right side, so we just passed without our bars being precariously close to each other. The bars are a fragile part of the bike because anything that hooks it turns your front wheel. I must have shifted to a harder gear. I shifted up or something. I think I shifted in the big chain. I could see the hesitation. Yeah, the road's going down, so I shifted up and moved the chain further back up in the rear. You try to keep your rhythm the same as much as possible, regardless of what's going on. Until you're really ready to change it when you attack, because that's different. Only use energy when necessary, so use the least amount of energy to generate the speed you need. And then you'll have plenty left for attacks or other surges. I got down low for free speed. Triple digiting there, and then the road kicks up. Depending on how much it kicks up, I don't think I get off the big chain. I just stay there because I only needed to go down maybe a cog, just 2%. There's nothing macho about muscling a gear at an inefficient cadence. You waste so much energy. It's just inefficient because you're spending. It's kind of like your car's doing 30 miles an hour and you got the accelerator to the floor. Let's say you got the handbrake pulled and you got the accelerator to the floor, so the car can't go anywhere. That's akin to riding a gear that's too big for you to turn. You're wasting fuel and going nowhere and then burning out your legs. So I read in an article a long time ago, many years ago, you should always use the smallest possible gear for the situation. That keeps your legs fresh for when you really need to put down the power. And that's another thing people who are not in the know don't understand. Not everybody in the group is going super hard all the time. So you can't start patting yourself in the back. Oh, well, that man, I'm riding great. You know, I must be getting stronger. And then you start taking for granted the fact that the serious protagonists may be riding easy that day. You know, we rode with Mo on Sunday, and Mo was saying that. I told him, I said, I don't know about going steady. I mean, I'm going easy. I said that was hard. We rode up a climb, and he was going like 20, 21, and it was a long climb. And so when we got to the turnoff, we dropped a rider from our group. And so I told him, I said, well, that was kind of fast, Mo. And all he said was, yeah, but it was steady. And I knew what he meant. He was riding steadily, so it's not like he was surging, because when you start changing the pace, that makes the body react differently. It takes more energy to do that. You know, accelerating from a stop sign to a stop sign in your car burns more fuel than cruising to the stop sign. Same thing. So he was explaining, and he said, yeah, I guess, you know, what's easy for me is hard for other people. And he's right. He does a lot of work. He has natural talent. Then he works at it. So his easy is somebody else's red line or more, you know. And if you're not appreciative of that, and you kind of get cheeky in a group where there are riders like Mo and other riders of that caliber, and then you start going hard early, that's how come you get dropped, because you're going hard when they're just having a conversation. And so then when they start riding, you've already spent all your fuel. So remember to pay attention to who's at your ride, the state of the ride, are you going hard or not, and so forth and so on, before you start getting too excited. That's what I mean when I say always save a little something. Be aware who you're riding with, and respect the classes of riders that are out there. That's the point I'm trying to make. Don't take anything for granted, because you never know. This is Bailey Grove. We go straight. I was not even aware we were passing Bailey Grove. I was just in a zone here. I end up asking Paul later. I said, we must have passed Bailey Grove. And he started laughing. He said, yeah. When you're riding for many hours, there are sections of the place where you just get into some kind of a rhythm. That's all the more reason why we do our best to be efficient. I'm standing because this road is going up. I like this area because it feels like some of the mountain climbs that I used to do when I competed. They're not all super steep, but you're climbing all day. And that's what's going on here in this area. I really am glad that we have this area to ride in, because it's so much more interesting than just riding on the flat roads of Southwest Houston area. I used to live there a very long time ago. And living in Austin got me really in the position of where I was able to learn how to climb. I did not like climbing when I got into cycling initially, but I was encouraged to learn how to climb, because I was told that, yeah, you can sprint, but if you're not there, you're not going to be sprinting for anything. So I ended up focusing on climbing because it was a major weakness for me. I'm not the greatest climber. I probably will never be the greatest climber, but I can hold my own fairly well. You got to know your limitations in every terrain. Every terrain favors a different a kind of rider. So find the one that favors you, and then when you're not in your favorite terrain, you try to minimize your what I call losses. In other words, I'm not going to chase a mountain goat up a climb. I'm going to stay near threshold and grind, because I know I can catch him on the descent or on a flat road. That's what I mean. Know your limitations. Know your body type. This is very, very gravelly here, so I'm riding right by the white line. Paul ended up going over the white line a little bit, but it only lasted for a little section. I stayed there because even though we don't have a lot of cars passing us, when they pass, they're going pretty quickly. So whenever I decide to use the main lane, I check first. A lot of times I'll use my hearing. That's why I don't have headphones in when I ride. I see some riders that do. I just don't put anything in my ear when I ride. When I go to ride, I'm going to ride. I'm going to interact with the outdoors. I want to hear the cars, the dogs, the birds, the cows, horses, whatever. When I'm home and I want to listen to music, I'll put my headphones on. There's no point doing it out there. There's beautiful music to hear out there from the creatures that live out there. So as a result, I'm well aware of what's happening around me all the time. I'm never startled. I think it's dangerous to put stuff in your ear, even if it's only one, especially when you're riding solo. It's different in a race.
That's when we passed Bailey.
Yeah, we're talking about the fact that I told him, I said, did we pass Bailey Grove? And then he said, yeah. He was explaining to me when I said that on this road it's hard. This goes up. This really kicks up. But yeah, so when you're riding, keep stuff out of your ear. It's one thing if you're expecting to get a phone call or something and you just put the earpiece in one ear and it's hooked up to your phone so you can hear the call and hopefully stop to take the call. Fine. But to be out there listening to music on the ride, I think that it takes away from you paying attention to what the other road users are doing, or, you know, just all the things that are out there. I think it gets you out of that environment. The natural world is interesting enough. If I were going to a picnic or something, yeah, I'd go and lay on the blanket and listen to music. But when I'm riding, that's what I'm doing. So I'm listening to my tires, my gears, my breathing, all of that. That's the music I'm listening to. I stay by the edge of the road so Paul can stay on my left and both of us can use this shoulder. We're going a lot slower because this road is going up. And right here is before we come to West Montgomery Park. So we know this section very well. You see it kicking up. It gets to probably 5 or 6%, I think. And it's a good length. And all I'm doing is finding a rhythm. Ride the climbs. You don't need to kill yourself. If you ride them often enough, you will get stronger. And besides, you won't get burned out. You don't need to go full gas on every climb or on every ride. That's not training. You need to have a plan before you go out. That's the only way you'll be able to ride often and improve. You should be able to ride and rest at the same time. There should be a ride that focuses on rest, or a ride that focuses on threshold, or a ride that focuses on anaerobic efforts, and so forth and so on. That's what we mean when we say you need a plan. So if you're out there riding and somebody passes you and that's your hard day and they're going faster, yeah, introduce yourself and say, would you mind if I get on your wheel or something? Nobody's going to say no. For the most part, if they're going hard, they don't care. And I believe the wind tunnel proves that when there's a rider behind you, it changes the airflow favorably behind you, the turbulence, and you go faster with a rider behind you than solo. That's the West Montgomery Park. We just parked past on the left. That's where we used to park to go to Beat Ice, Shiro,
That was nice, my
and
brother.
Huntsville. Paul enjoyed that climb.
Yes. That was different.
Yeah, that climb is. If you don't do it properly, you crawl after you get over it. Because this road here, even though it says 0, it's still a grade. And then it starts to go fast. So if your legs are dead and the road starts to go fast, like we're going now, 34 kilometers an hour. If you have killed your legs on a climb, you can't do this. Then you're resting here when you should be taking advantage of the speed that the terrain gives you. So you got to sip your energy throughout the ride. Look at that jersey, no flapping. This is what I'm talking about. You get what you pay for. They're not created equal. You got to size it correctly, regardless of brand or manufacturer. You got to know your size. That's why I took the time to make those videos on how you size your cycling kit. It's important.
Yeah.
It needs to be like second skin, because literally when we used to race and there would be a crash, I'd much rather leave jersey on the road than my skin. And some riders will swear by their base layer being worn all the time under a jersey, because you have 2 layers, and if you fall, You have something to slide against per se. That's why you will never see me riding my bike with sleeveless jersey on. I'm gonna cover my arms. Been there, done that. You need stuff on your body. We're approaching Magnolia, Texas. They've got those little impressions in the road that's supposed to alert you when you're leaving the lane. We stayed to the left of it. I'm basically riding the white line because this road is narrow. There's some cyclists on the right there. This guy, driver. So we get past. Our speeds are picking up because this is going to go downhill. Then it will kick back up. And all I'm doing is I'm shifting to make sure I keep my cadence the same because it drops dramatically. And you see my cadence really high. You're not going to get any explosion as you go by somebody doing 80 RPMs. But you will at 115 or 220. So the road kicks up and I downshift to the appropriate gear, finish the climb. Work, don't labor. We're in Magnolia, Texas. That's the city limit sign. Looking for traffic, but we're going to turn left at this intersection and go towards Taco Corner. We're approaching it from the north this time.
Epic. Love.
The harder the ride, the more Paul enjoys it. Yeah, on Sunday after my ride with Mo, I was about maybe half mile from my home. Some lady passed me a lot closer than was necessary, in my opinion. And so I chased her to the intersection near the golf course where I live. And it was clear she was not paying attention. So I pointed at her window. She put it down. I told her, I said, there are 2 lanes. You didn't need to pass that close to me. And she was apologetic, but then the excuse kind of annoyed me. She said, I'm sorry I didn't see you. That's the nonsense those guys in Australia call Smiths. Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. I told her, I said, that's not an excuse. You're operating a vehicle. You need to keep your eyes open. I said, there are golf carts, pedestrians. I'm riding here. I'm taller than your car when I'm on the bike. How do you not see me? I've got a light on the bike. What else do I need? A Christmas tree on top of my head? She had her kids in the car. I was annoyed, but I made sure that I did not say anything inappropriate. Not just for the kids, but to represent us cyclists. But I was annoyed. You know, I've ridden almost 60 miles in the middle of nowhere, and I come home 1 block from my house. You're looking at an iPhone or whatever it is she was doing, and you were gonna graze by me and then tell me, oh, I'm sorry I didn't see you, like that's supposed to be okay. She got the message, and I was doing it not so much for me, but for the next cyclist. So you driving the car? You're driving the car. Open your eyes. If you're blind, don't drive. Tell me I didn't see you. What kind of nonsense is that? This was Sunday morning at about 9:40. I'm 5 minutes from home. So it can happen anywhere. You need to be cautious all the time because these yahoos don't pay attention when they're out there operating vehicles. Anyway, I digress. We get to Taco Corner and we reload. We get our favorite iced tea. We don't have the mango version here. We got the pink lemonade because we didn't want stuff that would have too many strange ingredients. You know.
Hello, legends and super legends. We're wrapping this up.
We're on 2854.
Headed south. Gotta love it.
So the story about what happened to me on Sunday near home is to just let you know that don't say, oh well, I'm just riding to the mailbox, I don't need to wear my helmet, or I'm just riding to the mailbox. You always need to be cautious, and not just for bikes, even in your car. It can happen anywhere. You always got to be alert, and that was why I was annoyed at her. She got her kids in the car and she's not watching where the car is going. You know, you can kill yourself or your kids or kill somebody. And you say, I didn't see the person. That does not absolve you of the responsibility of piloting a vehicle. It's a big deal. You want to be looking at an iPhone, park the car. Anyway, we're on 2854. Of course, the wind, our coach is here. We start the roll in a little bit. That guy up there is a mail carrier. The post office subcontracts mail delivery, and so some people use their private vehicles now to deliver mail, especially in the rural areas, which this qualifies as. So he stops on the side of the road. As I look back, I see a cyclist. He's killing himself, chasing us. Paul didn't hear me. He said really about where this guy stopped. He didn't realize the guy was delivering mail. But I tell him about it later. But I saw the cyclist. I look back again. I see him back there. Paul's going to flip the camera, but he won't flip it because of the cyclist. He's just picking up that vehicle. There's the guy. He's killing himself to catch up. So I go ahead and just hold the pace right here. I want him to catch up. I don't change. I don't increase the pace. We're doing about probably 22 or something like that. 22 miles per hour, 35 kilometers an hour. We're just rolling, and we're going into the wind, so it's not super easy. But this is our pace. We do this all day. I run the credits here, get it out of the way. Because what happens is he catches up. Because I hold the pace steady, he speeds up, he gets on Paul's wheel. Paul realizes he's there, and then Paul tells me we have a cyclist. So when he got there, he didn't say anything, and you'll see what I do when he comes around. He didn't say anything. Normally you want to announce yourself, you know, hey, I'm on you guys' wheel or something like that. Paul saw him. So at this point, I don't know he's there. I'm just holding our pace. I'm wondering why he hasn't come around, because I found out later in conversating with Paul that he was on our wheel at this point. So he's sitting in our draft catching his breath, and you notice the speed has stayed steady. You've got to be able to do stuff like this. This encourages other riders to ride with you. That's what Mo did on Sunday when I was riding with him. He kept it steady. So even though it was fast, it was steady. So then people can get into some kind of a rhythm. There he comes. I thought he had just caught up and came around. So then I told Paul, let's go ahead and get on, because we're, yep. So I just lift my pace a little bit, like 3 kilometers an hour. He's not going that fast. And then I notice his cadence is not really firing. That cadence he's holding in the wind, at some point he's going to get tired. He really needs to downshift a little bit and kick it up. Right there I announced our presence on his wheel, because I didn't know he had been following us. But Paul did. But now he knows we're there, because I told him. That's what you must do. Don't just get on somebody's wheel. When he came by like he did and drifted over, I just thought, okay, I will ride up. So at this point, I move over to give Paul a little more draft, because the wind's coming from the front and from our left. Ideally, he should be close to the white line, but he's not thinking about that. At this point, it feels easy for me. In fact, I'm working easier than I was before he came up. So even though we're going faster, I'm using less energy. So I just sit on this wheel. I'm sitting on this wheel to see when he slows down. You can feel when the rider's slowing down. So I figure when he slows down, we'll kick it up, because we're going through Great Lake Estates. So we're going to be turning right, probably in about 3 kilometers maybe. Right about here, I can tell he's slowing down, and I just roll through. And I hold his pace. He was doing 40, 41. I figure I'll just hold 40. Yeah, did 41. Just hold his pace. When you ride enough, you can feel the pace. You should be able to get in tune with that. You should be able to feel the pace, so that when you ride with people, you hold the same effort. You don't need a power meter for that. You should be able to do that by feel. Because speed is cadence maintained for the distance. Don't kill yourself all the time. Sip your energy. So I'm sure he's enjoying himself back there because I didn't lift the pace. I held the same pace. So obviously when he got in the back and he can draft, he would get a chance to catch his breath. So as we go up here, this is the same thing Mo said on Sunday. It's harder to gauge when you're going uphill, whether you're holding the pace. That guy tapped his horn at us, and so I waved at him, the guy in the truck that went by. We're turning right at the top of the hill, so I just point so he can know. I shift down enough to keep the effort the same, because on the climb you go by feel more than anything. You can't get it by speed. So since he knows we're turning, as we turn, then he says, "See you later, guys." Right there. Now wave. So even though we didn't say hello, hello, we rode together for a stretch, and we might come across him in the future. You never know. That's one of the joys of our sport. It's a world sport. You get to meet people, you get to ride with people, you know, it's fun. This is a brutal climb. I'm at 6%. I'm in a very low gear right there. That's why I'm pulling away from Paul. I dropped to the small chainer. Mechanical efficiency. So I hope you all got a chance to get some K's in this weekend. If you didn't, get up, walk outside, keep your body moving. Keep those doctors fired.
I said he wanted to
Get your K's in.
That's why I said.
I just tightened my cleat.
Oh yeah. That was a good piece.
That's good.